Okay, Matthew. So, life is becoming harder for punters that win. I mean, I don't know how many there actually are, but if you look on Twitter, everyone.
Hmm.
Whichever way they do it, or I've been whatever. How would you advise a punter the best way it is for Shrewdies to stay under the radar?
So, if we can assume that you will inevitably always appear on the radar when you've won a certain amount of money, that goes without saying. So, you need to make sure that when someone does, you want to try and make your behavior not easily pattern matchable with existing known shrewd behavior. And so when someone does see that X account has won a large amount of money and they look at the bets, you want them to be thinking, that just looks like, on a hot streak, lucky, whatever. So if we break that down a bit more, the most important part and I feel I can actually say this because it's hard for sharp people to avoid this, and it's, any bookmaker who doesn't know this already, I don't think anyone will pay me to consult to tell them this, but it's clustering of behaviour. Is like people say, like, I got closed after one bet or after three bets or whatever. There are known behavioural patterns that bookmakers know they will not make money long term of customers that bet in that fashion, and you've bet similar stuff at the same time as other people that they already know are going to be. Like, people think that, like, bookmakers don't keep markers open anymore. Well, that's rubbish. They absolutely do. Tend to keep open the person who's the very first to bet them consistently and who bets every single one. But generally it's just that cluster behavior. So, like, people say, like, oh, I didn't even beat Betfair SP. No, but you bet the same time as one bloke who's had 10,000 bets and does beat Betfair SP, and you bet 5 minutes after him, because what's happened is that he's probably bet, Betfair's moved, you're on Odds Monkey, or other match betting softwares are available, and then you've basically taken those prices. So you just literally just visible instantly. You and 400 other people who try to bet the same thing. It's so, and, like, people who only bet each way on bad each way races, or people who bet very early soft greyhound prices, whatever. It's like, you've got one way to sort of make yourself look less sharp is to bet stuff that no one else who's sharp bets, which is very challenging. My recommendation would be that consider what the absolute best possible business for a bookmaker looks like, and then try to find a way to make money from that behavior. So, you've got a brilliant football model. It really is exceptional at calculating fair prices. Well, try only betting the overs and both teams to score yes. And try only betting them in ACCAs. And try and only bet them in ACCAs, 5 minutes to kick. Just go through all the measures, like literally just go through, like, try and only bet them in ACCAs, 5 minutes to kick, and if they appear on the coupon that's on the front page of the website. At this point, you're thinking, like, bloody hell, that seems challenging. You're fucking right, it's challenging. Particularly in the UK, tax-free income. I'd like to think we make you work for it. So at the end of the day, I would say, like, whether it's bet builders, make money through bet builders, live, bookmakers hold have higher hold in live than they do in pre-match. If you're complaining because you're betting 6 hours before the horse race starts or whatever, I mean, you can complain. I wish you wouldn't do it on my Twitter feed, but you can complain, but you're just complaining about the status quo. Like, don't be man shakes fist at clouds all your life. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, hang on, like, all these, whatever I do, I'm always betting the no, I'm always betting the under, or all the rest of it, or only, like, well, just got to evolve, The idea that there's never been an arb on an over, or never been an arb on a favourite, or never been a, pick your spots and try and win in the most, recreational looking way possible. And the consequence of that is lower margin. Bookmakers will look, they've got higher margin holds on over 2.5 goals than they have on under 2.5 goals. So consequently, if they've got a higher hold on that market, it means you're going to have a lower hold on that market as a short better. So if you're going to have lower holds, you can have more prolonged downswings. And if you're going to have more prolonged downswings, you're going to be living in the torture chamber longer. Torture chamber is just whenever you're in the drawdown. And the people who are best equipped to be long-term profitable professional gamblers, they're past tolerating the pain. They must love it. I can think of no other reason why you'd be a professional gambler who can go through those long downswings. Look at like Patrick Veach's average odds. Or I think they said something average odds was like 16 or even 20s or something like that. Like you put that through the Monte Carlo sim and see how long your drawdowns are on that. It's real sicko territory to be able to put up with it. So the reality is that find something that makes you look like an idiot. Sorry, Actually, that's terrible of me, very derogatory. Find something that makes you look like you enjoy punting for just the pure fun of, randomness. Make a way to make it win. Realise that, you found a way to win, but it's 2% margin. Scale it up, do it 1 billion times across 1 billion bookmakers, and, hope that the only time you get caught is when you're trying to withdraw 50 grand because you landed the front of the page website, both teams to score 8-fold.
Right. Excellent. So we talked about open banking in the previous part. Are you prepared to allow bookmakers to have all your business open banking if you were going to open an account with somebody?
So bearing in mind all of this is thin end of the wedge. So you want to, make sure that you don't open Pandora's box. Do I already allow, through my use of, social media, through the application for credit cards, general experience in the credit system, whatever, does everyone already have access to a very good imprint of my personal wealth? 100%. Do people know what I buy? Absolutely. Go back to the supermarkets, advising women that they might want to get a pregnancy test because of their change in behavioural habits from the nectar points or whatever. So could someone already know everything there is to know about me with the existing data available? Yes. Do I want to make it so simple that I literally can, show, and it's not just a bookmaker, if I went to go buy a car and they said they wanted to see every transaction from the bank account, I wouldn't want that either. Do I think it's necessary? No. Do I think that we can create institutions which utilize open banking in a highly scrutinized, highly regulated way, and then provide an advice, literally like very anonymized data goes, into the black box. That data then provides a, assessment as to my credit worthiness or my money laundering risk level or whatever. And the bookmakers then get that information for service. I'm going to be, essentially I still want to, I still want to bet. So yeah, I guess I'm going to at that point. Do I want to be sending, do I want to be uploading documents to a website and the bookmakers, if you're a bank, you've had to go to extra levels to make yourself hard to scrape, hard to hack, all the rest of it. Bookmakers probably haven't even put into their assessment necessarily yet the level of effort needed to protect, a website that has people routinely uploading financially sensitive data. So do I want to be doing that yet? No. But it's not because I don't want the bookmaker to know whether I'm a risk from a money laundering perspective or whether I'm a risk from, being a gambling addict. It's more because I don't think that it's necessary for them to know all that information and risk that information. Any time, it's like any time you share gossip, it spreads and multiplies. Any time that my banking data gets outside of just the arena that is my bank, you run the risk of it, proliferating everywhere and being sold or hacked or whatever. So, no, absolutely, I wouldn't want that at this point. Do I see, if the same way the financial services world is regulated, to be honest, with the Italian system that I mentioned earlier, if that comes in, if there is some, organised crime authority in the UK which has access to open banking, and one of the services that they provide is bookmaker approval ratings or whatever, am I going to end up letting them see it? To be honest, if it is a sort of, crime-based anti-crime-based organisation, probably have access to my bank account anyway. But yeah, no, do I want to be uploading even to a bookmaker who is, FTSE 100 listed or whatever like that? No, but largely because I don't think they'll have the department in place and the security checks in place to make sure that that data is sufficiently warehoused and firewalled from the rest of the business, etc. However, if they did provide a body, an Ofsted equivalent, for checking bookmakers' suitability to hold open banking information, if there were bookmakers that then passed that, maybe I would.
Would you use a black market bookmaker as an alternative?
So, from my perspective, so it's funny, isn't it? Like, so black market is like a loaded phrase.
Or some guy with a WhatsApp group that will take your bets. Let's simplify it.
That one there. I would if I had no other options, I suppose, that's for starters, it wouldn't be my first choice. But if I'm a professional gambler, 100%, without shadow of a doubt, and I would be basically having to do what people used to do when all sorts of comedy bookmakers were in the markets. Like I remember my favourite one is James Moore of BHA investigation fame nowadays, telling me the stories of Banana Bet. The clue was in the name there, right, before someone was running off with your money. But basically, once upon a time, everyone would have to do due diligence. Everyone would ask, "Do you know this person? Do you find out whether they get paid out?" "Yeah, you did get paid out." "Oh, right, really? Yeah, straight away. Fantastic." So everyone used to basically have the sort of same gossip circle as to who could be trusted, who couldn't be, And then at that point, it's a case of once you do your own due diligence, you literally be like, "Okay, so how much do I deposit to this person?" Give it a risk score. You're doing your own credit checking at this point. Give it a risk score and know that, right, okay, when I'm betting, I have to be winning X percent at that bookmaker to cover the fact that there is risk that that money disappears. And people used to do this all the time. Like, people sort of think, like, again, it's like a sort of a luxury to have, instant debit card deposits and withdrawals, and even when you got caught with your hands in the till, they'd just pay you out instantly. Like, that's sort of dreamland now. Once upon a time, people were like wiring checks to Jamaica or whatever and all the rest of it, praying to God they got paid, but they knew it was all, it was just sort of almost part of the game. So like, if someone said to me, like, "Here's a WhatsApp number," and they told me, like, "I trust this guy completely," people who've like been in horse racing dealt with commission agents, which often was just equivalent of a bloke on the phone. The commission agents knew that to get the business, and really succeed, they had to be trustworthy. I mean, I think we're all waiting for Simon not interviews John Loftus, aren't we? Really, that's what
we've tried.
Yeah, you've tried. Yeah, okay, I can imagine. But it's like, it's so funny. Like, even the people who maybe are not very complimentary about Mr. Loftus, one thing's bloody sure is that plenty of people have used him and plenty of people have trusted him to pay them out. And would John Loftus see as much money as he does over the years if he hadn't been trustworthy? I doubt it. There's plenty of people who like now run, well, there's no point, don't want to mention names, but once upon a time, I think the people at MacBet would have, taken a bet, over a phone call, no questions asked kind of thing. Like, but now they've got the website, they've got everything else like that. Very, very trustworthy. So it's like, it's one of those things where, yeah, it goes into a different framework where you have to price in the risk of losing money on it. That would be my view.